You can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
Got an interesting one for you. I know you love Bugattis.
The automotive world is going through a very interesting change, and at the center of the situation are two well-known names, Bugatti and YouTuber Matt Armstrong. What started as a simple car rebuild project has slowly turned into something much bigger, something that is now being discussed by car lovers all around the world. This story becomes even more exciting when another YouTuber, Mark McCann, enters the picture with his own broken hypercar. Mark recently spent around £900,000 on a damaged Bugatti Veyron, a car that once represented the peak of luxury and performance, but is now sitting useless because of a serious gearbox problem. The car cannot drive, it has no reverse gear, and it has been off the road for nearly 3 years. For most people, buying such a car would be a nightmare, but for Mark, it was an opportunity. However, what made this situation truly surprising was not the purchase itself, but who he decided to contact first after buying the car. Instead of calling Bugatti directly or reaching out to an official service center with trained engineers, Mark made a video call to Matt Armstrong. This decision says a lot about how things are changing in the car world. Normally, when someone owns a car like a Bugatti, they depend fully on the company for repairs and support. These cars are extremely complex, and manufacturers like Bugatti have always controlled who can fix them, how they are fixed, and where the parts come from. This control allowed them to charge very high prices for repairs. For example, Bugatti reportedly quoted around £300,000 just to replace the gearbox in Mark's Veyron. That is more than the price of many houses. For a long time, owners had no choice but to accept these costs because there were no real alternatives. But now, things are starting to change, and people like Matt Armstrong are playing a big role in that change. Matt Armstrong is not a factory-trained Bugatti technician. He is a self-taught car builder who became popular on YouTube by rebuilding damaged supercars and sharing the entire process online. His current project, rebuilding a crashed Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, has attracted massive attention. What makes his work special is not just the rebuild itself, but the fact that he is doing it without official support from Bugatti. This is something that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. Yet, through hard work, connections, and learning from experts, Matt has been able to make real progress. Because of this, people like Mark McCann now see him as someone who understands these cars in a practical way, not just in theory. During their conversation, Matt did not reject the idea of fixing the Veyron. Instead, he started thinking about solutions. He talked about different options, including using independent specialists who can rebuild parts instead of replacing them completely. This is where things get very interesting. While Bugatti suggests replacing the gearbox at a very high cost, independent experts may be able to repair it for much less, sometimes nearly half the price. This changes the whole financial situation. Suddenly, a car that seemed like a bad investment starts to look like a smart opportunity. And this is exactly the kind of knowledge that is spreading through platforms like YouTube, where millions of people can watch and learn. What we are seeing here is not just one car being repaired. It is the beginning of a new way of thinking about car ownership. Owners are starting to realize that they may not need to depend completely on manufacturers anymore. Independent builders, skilled technicians, and online communities are coming together to share knowledge and create alternatives. This is slowly breaking the idea that only the manufacturer has the power. And as more people like Matt Armstrong prove that these cars can be repaired outside official systems, more owners will start to explore these options. This situation is not just about saving money. It is about control, freedom, and the right to repair something that you own. And as this story continues to grow, it is becoming clear that the future of hypercar ownership may look very different from the past as this story continues to unfold. The deeper impact of what has happened becomes clearer, especially when we look at the rare and unique nature of the car that Mark McCann has purchased. His Bugatti Veyron is not just any hypercar sitting broken in a garage. It is a special version modified by Mansory, known for creating some of the most extreme and expensive custom vehicles in the world. This particular Veyron was reportedly built for a very wealthy owner in the Middle East and includes unique design elements that make it truly one of a kind. The car features full exposed carbon fiber body panels, polished metal details, and a bold interior that cannot be found in any other Veyron. When it was fully functional, its value was estimated to be around 1.6 million pounds, making it not only a machine, but also a collector's item. However, its current condition tells a completely different story. With a broken gearbox and years of neglect, it has become more like a display piece than a working vehicle, raising serious questions about whether such a car can be brought back to life without relying on the original manufacturer. This is where the situation becomes even more interesting and important for the wider automotive world. Traditionally, companies like Bugatti have maintained strict control over their vehicles, especially when it comes to repairs and replacement parts. Their official service network is designed to ensure that every repair meets their standards, but also means that they control the pricing and availability of parts. In many cases, owners are told that certain components cannot be repaired and must be replaced entirely, often at extremely high costs. For Mark's Veyron, the official quote for a new gearbox was around £300,000, a price that would make many owners think twice about fixing their car at all. This system has worked for years because there were very few alternatives, and most owners did not have access to knowledge or resources needed to challenge it. However, people like Matt Armstrong are beginning to change that reality. Through his experience rebuilding complex cars, Matt has developed connections with independent specialists across Europe who have deep knowledge of high-performance vehicles. Some of these experts have worked on Bugattis before, even if not officially connected to the company. One example often discussed is an independent German specialist who is known for rebuilding Bugatti gearboxes at a much lower cost than official replacements. Instead of replacing the entire unit, these specialists carefully take it apart, repair the damaged components, and rebuild it to working condition. This process requires skill, patience, and experience, but it can reduce the cost by a significant amount, sometimes nearly half of what Bugatti charges. This kind of solution changes everything for buyers like Mark, because it turns a seemingly impossible repair into something that is financially reasonable. When Mark spoke to Matt, this was exactly the kind of insight he was looking for. Rather than being told to simply accept the official repair costs, he was given a new perspective on what is possible. Matt explained that even in the worst-case scenario, the numbers could still work in Mark's favor. If the total investment in the car, including repairs, stayed below its market value, then the project could still be considered successful. But with the help of independent specialists, the potential profit margin becomes even more attractive. This is a powerful idea because it shows that knowledge can be just as valuable as money when it comes to making decisions about high-end cars at the same time. This situation also highlights why companies like Bugatti may feel uncomfortable with this growing trend. Their business model has always depended on being the main source of expertise and parts for their vehicles. If more owners begin to trust independent builders and specialists, that control starts to weaken. The more information that becomes available online, the harder it becomes to maintain the idea that only the manufacturer can handle these cars. Videos, discussions, and shared experiences are slowly building a new kind of network, one that is based on collaboration rather than restriction. And as this network grows, it opens the door for more people to take on projects that once seemed impossible. In simple terms, what we're seeing is a shift in power. Owners are no longer completely dependent on manufacturers, and they are starting to explore new ways to maintain and repair their vehicles. This does not mean that official service centers will disappear, but it does mean that they are no longer the only option. For someone like Mark McCann, this shift provides both an opportunity and a challenge. He now has access to knowledge and resources that can help him bring his rare Veyron back to life. But he also becomes part of a larger movement that is changing the rules of the automotive world. And as more stories like this continue to appear, it becomes clear that this is not just a one-time event, but the beginning of a much bigger transformation. As the situation develops further, it becomes clear that this is not only about one broken car or one bold purchase, but about the formation of a completely new kind of network in the automotive world. At the center of this growing movement is Matt Armstrong, whose work on complex rebuilds is slowly proving that independent expertise can match, and sometimes even challenge, official manufacturer systems. What makes this even more interesting is that Matt is not working alone. Around him, a group of highly skilled specialists is forming, each bringing their own knowledge and experience to the table. These include welders who can repair damaged aluminum structures, carbon fiber experts who can rebuild body panels to factory-level quality, and part suppliers who know how to source rare components from across the world. Together, they are creating something that did not really exist before, an independent support system for some of the most complicated cars ever made. This network is growing step by step, mainly through real projects and shared experiences. For example, while working on a crashed Bugatti Chiron per Sport, Matt has faced challenges that many believe could only be solved by the manufacturer. From structural repairs to sourcing rare parts, each problem required creative thinking and cooperation with experts outside the official system. One specialist might handle welding a damaged frame, while another focuses on rebuilding carbon fiber sections. At the same time, connections are being built with suppliers who can provide parts that are usually controlled by the manufacturer. These suppliers may include companies that deal in used components, custom fabrication shops, or even individuals who have access to rare inventory. Every successful solution adds more confidence to the idea that these cars can be repaired independently without always relying on the original company. The involvement of Mark McCann brings even more attention to this process. By reaching out to Matt for advice on his broken Bugatti Veyron, Mark is not only looking for help, but also showing trust in this growing network. This is important because it signals a shift in how people view expertise. In the past, official certification was seen as the only reliable source of knowledge. Now, practical experience and proven results are becoming just as valuable, if not more. When someone like Mark, who is making a very expensive decision, chooses to rely on an independent builder, it sends a strong message to the rest of the community. It suggests that real-world results can speak louder than official titles. Another key part of this transformation is the role of online platforms, especially YouTube. By documenting every step of the rebuild process, Matt is not only fixing cars, but also sharing knowledge with millions of viewers. This creates a learning environment where people can see exactly how problems are solved, what tools are used, and what challenges come up along the way. Over time, this kind of content builds a library of information that anyone can access. This is very different from the traditional model, where technical knowledge is kept private and controlled by the manufacturer. Once this information becomes public, it becomes much harder to limit who can work on these cars. The knowledge spreads, more people learn, and the overall skill level of the community increases. This sharing of information also encourages collaboration. As more builders and specialists watch these projects, they may contribute their own ideas or offer their services. This creates a cycle where knowledge grows faster and solutions become more advanced. For example, if one builder finds a better way to repair a certain part, that method can be shared and improved by others. Over time, this leads to better results and more confidence in independent repairs. It also creates opportunity for new businesses, as skilled individuals realize that there is demand for their expertise outside the official system. However, this shift also raises important questions. Manufacturers like Bugatti have always argued that their strict control is necessary to maintain safety, quality, and brand reputation. These are valid concerns, especially when dealing with high-performance vehicles that operate at extreme limits. Independent builders must prove that they can meet these standards not just once, but consistently. This means that the success of this new network depends on maintaining high levels of quality and responsibility. One major failure could damage trust and slow down progress. In simple terms, what we are seeing is the early stage of a major shift in how knowledge, skills, and control are distributed in the automotive world. The combination of practical experience, shared information, and collaboration is creating new possibilities that were not available before. While it is still too early to say exactly how this will affect the future, one thing is clear. The gap between official systems and independent builders is becoming smaller. And as more projects succeed, more people will start to believe that even the most complex cars can be understood, repaired, and enjoyed without being completely dependent on the companies that built them. As more people begin to understand what is happening behind these rebuild projects, the bigger picture becomes even clearer. This is not just about fixing expensive cars anymore, but about challenging a system that has existed for many years. Companies like Bugatti have always operated in a way that gives them full control over their vehicles even after they are sold. This control includes who can repair the car, where it can be serviced, and how parts are supplied. For a long time, customers accepted this system because they believed there was no other safe or reliable option. These cars are extremely advanced, and the idea of letting anyone outside the official network work on them seemed risky. But now, as independent builders continue to show real results, that belief is slowly starting to change, and a big reason for this shift is the concept of right to repair, which has become an important topic in many industries, not just in the automotive world. The basic idea is simple. If you own something, you should have the freedom to repair it in the way you choose. This includes using independent technicians, buying parts from different sources, or even doing the work yourself if you have the skills. In the case of hypercars, this idea has always been limited because manufacturers kept tight control over parts and information. However, projects like the ones led by Matt Armstrong are starting to push those limits. By showing that complex repairs can be done outside official systems, they are giving owners more confidence to explore alternative options at the same time. It is important to understand why manufacturers like Bugatti have built such control systems in the first place. These cars are not ordinary vehicles. They are designed to perform at extremely high speeds and require precise engineering to function safely. From a manufacturer's point of view, allowing unverified repairs could lead to serious risks, including accidents or damage to the brand's reputation. If something goes wrong, it could affect not just one car, but the trust people have in the brand as a whole. This is why Bugatti and similar companies often insist that only their trained technicians should work on these vehicles. They want to make sure that every repair meets their strict standards and that the car performs exactly as intended. However, the challenge comes when this control leads to very high costs and limited options for owners. In the case of Mark McCann and his Bugatti Veyron, the official repair quote is so high that it almost makes the car impossible to fix through traditional channels. This creates a situation where the owner must either accept a huge financial loss or look for alternative solutions. Independent specialists offer a middle path, where the car can be repaired at a lower cost while still maintaining high quality. This does not mean that all independent repairs are perfect, but it does show that there are other possibilities beyond the official system. Another important factor in this situation is the way information is being shared. In the past, technical details about these cars were kept secret, known only to the manufacturer and a small group of authorized technicians. Today, that is no longer the case. Through videos, forums, and online discussions, more and more information is becoming available to the public. When Matt Armstrong shares his rebuild process, he is not just entertaining his audience, he is also educating them. People can see the challenges, the mistakes, and the solutions in real time. This makes the whole process more transparent and helps others learn from it. Over time, this kind of sharing reduces the knowledge gap between official systems and independent builders. This growing access to information also changes how people make decisions. Owners are no longer limited to what the manufacturer tells them. They can compare different options, learn from others' experiences, and choose a path that works best for them. For someone like Mark McCann, this means he can carefully consider whether to follow Bugatti's official advice or explore independent repair options suggested by Matt and his network. This kind of choice was not easily available before, especially for cars at this level. In simple terms, what we are witnessing is a gradual shift from control to freedom. Manufacturers still play a very important role, and their expertise cannot be ignored. But at the same time, independent builders and shared knowledge are creating new opportunities for owners. The balance of power is slowly changing, and both sides will need to adapt to this new reality. For the automotive world, this could lead to a future where official and independent systems exist side by side, giving owners more flexibility and control over their vehicles. And as more projects continue to succeed, this shift will likely become stronger, shaping the future of not just hypercars, but the entire industry. As this shift continues to grow, one of the most powerful forces driving it forward is not just the work being done in garages and workshops, but the way these stories are being shared with the world. Platforms like YouTube have become a central place where builders like Matt Armstrong can document every step of their journey, from the moment a damaged car arrives to the final stage where it returns to the road. This kind of content is not only entertaining, but also highly educational. Viewers are able to see real problems being solved in real time, which builds trust and interest. When millions of people watch a complex rebuild happen successfully outside an official system, it naturally changes how they think about what is possible. It removes a mystery and replaces it with understanding, making even the most advanced cars feel a little more accessible. For someone like Mark McCann, this environment creates a unique opportunity. By sharing his journey with the broken Bugatti Veyron, he is not only working on a rare and valuable car, but also becoming part of a much larger conversation. His decisions, whether to follow official repair routes or to explore independent solutions, are being watched and discussed by a wide audience. This adds a new layer of pressure, but also brings attention to the challenges that many high-end car owners face. When people see the difference in cost between official repairs and independent options, it raises important questions about fairness, accessibility, and choice. These discussions go beyond just one car and begin to affect how people view the entire industry. Another important factor is how quickly information can spread in today's digital world. In the past, knowledge about repairing hypercars was limited to a small group of experts, and it could take years for new techniques or solutions to become widely known. Now, a single video can reach millions of viewers in a matter of hours. This speed of communication means that successful methods can be shared, tested, and improved much faster than before. For example, if a new approach to repairing a gearbox or sourcing a rare part is discovered, it can quickly become common knowledge within the community. This creates a fast-moving environment where innovation is constant and new ideas are always being explored at the same time. This visibility also creates accountability. When builders share their work publicly, they are open to feedback from viewers, experts, and other builders. If something is done incorrectly, it can be pointed out and discussed. This encourages higher standards and pushes everyone involved to improve their skills. For independent builders, this is especially important because they do not have the backing of a large company to guarantee their work. Their reputation is built entirely on the quality of what they produce and how transparent they are about the process. In this way, the community itself becomes a form of quality control, helping to ensure that standards remain high. However, this growing influence of online content also brings challenges. Not all viewers have the technical knowledge to fully understand what they're watching, and some may oversimplify the process of repairing complex cars. It is important to remember that while these projects make difficult work look possible, they still require a high level of skill, experience, and resources. Independent repairs are not always easy, and they are not always successful. Builders like Matt Armstrong often face unexpected problems that take time and effort to solve. This reality must be clearly understood to avoid creating unrealistic expectations. Despite these challenges, the overall impact of this movement is very strong. The combination of real-world projects and global communication is creating a new kind of automotive culture, one that values knowledge sharing, creativity, and independence. Manufacturers like Bugatti are now part of a conversation that they do not fully control, and they must adapt to a world where information is more open than ever before. For owners, this means more choices and more opportunities to take control of their vehicles. For builders, it means new chances to prove their skills and build their reputation. In simple terms, the story is no longer just about a broken car or a single rebuild project. It is about how modern technology and communication are changing the way people interact with machines, knowledge, and each other. As more creators share their experiences and more viewers become interested, this movement will continue to grow. And with each new project, the idea that only manufacturers can handle these complex machines becomes weaker, opening the door for a future where independence and collaboration play a much bigger role in the automotive world.